caught him with his coworker. My partner, male 20, had lately been caught improperly contacting other ladies and paying for cam girls, so I, female 20, was definitely on high alert. We were living together, had a cat, and I wore a ring on my finger. We'd recently returned from a disastrous couple's holiday. I found him with another woman's hands on him in the hotel bar, and things went south from there. He assured me it was all in my head and that I was overreacting, but I kept an eye on him after that. I had his iPhone location, which he must have forgotten, but he informed me one night that he was working late. I was concerned since he lied to me about the time he began working, so I investigated his whereabouts. I felt my stomach sink as he was across the city at a site we would visit, an overlook of the city skyline. I didn't want to be crazy. Maybe he was simply emptying his mind, but I couldn't get the sensation that it wasn't entirely benign. I was at home, making him a pie and preparing for him to get home from work like a goddamn 1950s housewife. I got in my vehicle and went to his place, where I parked a little distance away. I could see him. It was dark, and he seemed to be alone. For a brief time, I felt like an idiot for having doubted him. Then he stepped to the side, and I noticed he was holding a lady. I was taken aback. I was paralyzed. All I could do was wait for my brain to absorb for a few minutes. He gave her a kiss. I took out my phone and dialed his number. I saw him say something to her, and they took a step apart from each other. She was aware. He let it go to voicemail before texting me. I suppose I'm going to see my mom tonight. That wasn't the first time I'd gotten that SMS. I then observed them re-enter one another's arms. I got out of my vehicle and began approaching towards him. I wasn't sure what I was going to say, but I couldn't stand it any longer. She raced away as soon as they saw me. He'd inquired as to what I was doing there, as if nothing was amiss. He didn't have any answers to any of my queries. He didn't even exhibit any emotion, just standing there with emotionless eyes while I sobbed. He said it was all my fault, that I was to blame. I got furious at him too much. He felt like he couldn't communicate to me, and I was difficult. He stood there, taking no responsibility, and just informed me that it was all my fault. She simply sat on a nearby seat with her legs crossed, listening to the whole event. He introduced me to her as a colleague who had just joined the organization. She was easy to chat to and always had time for him. They spent the night and the following day together after I departed. That was 2 days ago, and I've been repeating this scene in my thoughts ever since. I'm sick to my stomach and can't force myself to eat, sleep, or wash. I can't even weep anymore. I'm still in shock and don't know what to do next. Story 2. Cheated on, and I'm disgusted. I'm so exhausted as a result of this toxic connection with what I discovered to be a true narcissist. It's been over a month since I discovered my boyfriend, now ex, was cheating on me. We were almost living together. Where he remained, I had most of everything. It's like my second home. I was cleaning his room about 2 months ago while he was at work, thinking it would be wonderful for him to come home to a clean room, clean linens, and clean things. When I went to get the trash can, there was a large box inside from a Valentine's Day present I'd given him, so I took it out to break it down for less bulk. When I opened the package, there was a pack of 3 condoms inside. My stomach fell and I became ill. At that moment, I felt justified in searching through the garbage and the bathroom trash, but I discovered no wrappers or anything else. I went to check our drawer where we store the lubricant and condoms, all the same kind, even the box in the garbage, and discovered that the original ones we'd purchased were still there, but they were mixed up with various dates. Yes, I checked. As I continued to look around the room, I saw that one of our photo frames had been twisted, which made me feel even worse. Right after that, I texted him and told him I wasn't looking through his trash, but that I found that pack, and he sounded alarmed that I was asking him, and he said I was being too abrasive, that he wouldn't do something like that, and that if I truly believed he hated me that much, he would do something about it. I trusted him and gave him the benefit of the doubt. I thought the greatest, we didn't use condoms all the time, but we did once in a while. Granted, I wasn't comfortable at that time, and there was always the "what if I'm right" voice in my brain. After 2 weeks on a day off when we were out, I went to grab some socks from the drawers and saw additional condoms, but they were separate from the condom drawer, and I questioned, "Why are these here?" He acted silly, and I didn't think anything of it, but by then I'd already kept track of all the original ones I discovered and went about my day as if it didn't concern me, because it didn't, and I was honestly waiting to confront him about it at a more opportune moment. I was certainly off the remainder of the day because when he asked what was wrong as I continued to space out that day, my only response was nothing. The days seemed better and so good, and eventually I saw him where he was staying on a date. He was off late, and I walked to the room, got myself comfortable, and noticed that our frame and photographs that were on top of my drawer were gone. When I looked into my drawers, there they were. I left them in there since I planned to inquire about them later. I checked the condo drawer, and there was certainly one missing. I was still giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he keeps it in his wallet for car, or who knows what at that time. He came home, sat on the bed with me, and I was groggy and uninterested in seeing him. He asked what I was looking at, and I told him that I was looking at the fact that our picture frame was gone, and he promptly got up and proceeded to take it out of the drawer with the pretext that he was cleaning that day, which I knew was nonsense. The next day, he completed the majority of his purchases, which was also a red signal at this point, and he even handed me his wallet, which didn't have a condom in it. Later that night, after unwinding from dinner, we got into another disagreement, which had been happening virtually every week for the last 2 months. The debates were on trivial matters, if not outright stupidities. Then we fell asleep, and that missing condom never left my mind. I recalled him telling me the first time I contacted him about it. If I were doing anything like this, I'd put it in the garbage outside. He said it jokingly, but it stayed with me like glue. As I pondered myself, could this guy I fell in love with really go to this extreme? And recalled his joke, I took the garbage out from that night's takeout, all the way outside to the trash outside. I peered inside before tossing it in, and there was the condom wrapper. My stomach fell once again, and this time I couldn't keep silent. I returned inside. It was about 3 a.m., and I roused him up and begged him to explain. He said nothing, no apologetic, no, yeah, it was me. Just I have no clue what you're talking about. I don't count the condoms. The garbage is in an alleyway. Many people leave rubbish outdoors there. I was so outraged and enraged that he couldn't face the reality. I wasn't even sobbing because I was so unhappy. There was no regret or understanding of reality. Even though the remainder of the talk was about taking a break, and that what I was saying were serious charges, he never once mentioned accepting responsibility. The following day, I went to get my stuff while he wasn't home, and then went back for my remaining items and plants when he was there, and he couldn't even look at me. He gave me his back and sulked in whatever he was feeling, lying in bed like the slime he is. I discovered that the female with whom he cheated on me was with whom we had a last summer. She texted me and apologized for everything. I never responded to her, and I know she's uncomfortable for a variety of reasons, simply being near me. My ex-boyfriend has yet to accept responsibility, and he is still in contact with me. I'm only remaining in touch for the time being because he has a few items he's attempting to get back to me, but he expects me to talk things out. I don't have anything more to say. I simply want my belongings back. Remember, we're all colleagues. Everything is just so messed up. Update. It's been 9 months after we split up, and I found out about the adultery. I had hoped that reconciliation would work. I was mistaken. I tried my hardest to go ahead, but I couldn't because of the bitterness, hatred, and sentiments that were locked up inside of me. It felt good at the time, but the disconnect remained. In retrospect, I should have simply left things alone, since I now feel like I'm back where I started with my sadness. Among other things, I discovered that I hadn't been cheated on by just one individual, but by 2. When you've been deceived, nothing ever feels the same again. It is usually preferable to just accept what has been done and go on. This is the closest thing to closure.